going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go. Our guest is an ASL, also known as American Sign Language educator. She is also an author, and she's a producer, and she is no stranger to this line of work. So, without further ado, I present to you Dr. Deanne Elaine. How are you doing today?
I'm super amazing. Thank you so much, Osiris, for having me on your show today. I'm super excited and to be able to share with your audience. Hello, everyone.
Hey, I love it. And so I've seen your lives as well and how you interact with your audience. And I'm very much looking forward to what you're able to bring to this show and to be able to help out those who need it. So with that, there are many who may not have the ability to necessarily verbalize it or even see. And this is where Doctor comes in with her expertise and her knowledge, which differs from any other guest that I've had on this show. So I don't want to hold it up. I'd like to ask, how did you get into that line of work of being an American Sign Language educator?
Thank you so much. I pretty much came back door to education. I had always loved the thought and the art of teaching, but I really came back door. What I mean by that is I've always taught in the community or in church, but coming full circle into the educational platform. And it was all because of my love for American Sign Language. I started signing in a church group, and we would actually sign songs. And we would go to various different places and perform. I mean, any type of venue we would be at. And one day I actually did a concert for a deaf audience at a deaf church. It was my first opportunity. Now, mind you, most people assume that I have someone in my family who is deaf, or that I have a sibling or a daughter or son. No, I had never met a deaf person in my life, and I had not had any deaf people in my family. But I love the language, and I love the artistic aspect of it, and being able to express yourself as an art. But when I came across this young man who approached me after I had done the concert, and he started signing away, I didn't understand anything he was saying because I only knew the lyrics to the song. And that was truly my impact moment. And at that time, I was making the decision to go back to school to work on my first master's degree in organizational management. And at that moment, I purposed that I was going to set my intentions on studying, learning, getting involved in the deaf community, and learning the language, their history, their culture. What is the need? What is the greatest need that they have? And in that research, after I, of course, attended school and working on my business plan to graduate, I realized that, my God, every aspect of our existence, every field, every profession has a deaf community that has a need. And so it was really then I said, okay, I need to find a service. I need to find a need that I can particularly be impactful in and feel that need. And that's really how it started. I literally, after my program, moved from California to Maryland to get involved for the purpose of getting involved in the deaf community, and that's where I started going to school at the community college, local community college, and that is where Sign With Me Incorporated was birthed over 22 years ago.
Oh, check you out. That's wonderful. And that's such an inspiring story. Because well, I won't say most of the time, but there are many occurrences, right, where people do something because there's some sort of personal impact from within their
Absolutely.
family that motivates them or inspires them to, you know what, I want to do that too. But yours was more of an intrinsic motivation, and the idea that you decided to do it without having, though not necessarily having like a relative or a close friend be deaf and still be compelled to want to be a part of that community says a lot about your character in such a great way. And I think that's wonderful. Now, with signing, right, do you normally, like when you're talking, do you normally sign while you're talking, or is there like a time and a place for it? How does that come about?
It's a habit of mine now, and I am literally holding my hands in my lap.
Oh, no, feel free to do it.
Because
Yeah.
the tendency is for me to sign and talk at the same time. Now, when you do that, you're actually speaking more English than ASL, because ASL is actually a conceptual visual language with its own rules and grammatical features, and it has a different word order. So when I'm signing and talking at the same time, it's not true ASL. And so it's more following an English word order. And
Hmm.
so there is a place and time for it where it's acceptable. And interesting enough, many deaf people in the community, they don't like it when you sign and talk at the same time. They prefer your voice be off and you sign and communicate with them direct. Um, but then you have some that prefer, depending on how they're raised, the region that they live, and how they grew up. You get to learn a lot of variations and your audience and what their needs are. And so it was because of a deaf female woman pastor that I feel is like a mentor to me. And she encouraged me, sign and talk at the same time, no matter what other people are saying, because you have a larger audience that don't know sign language and they need to see it. And hopefully by seeing it, they'll want to learn it and become more inspired to want to get involved, to be inclusive and create inclusive environments for other people like us, is how she was explaining it to me. And that really warmed my heart, and that gave me my encouragement and my motivation to, keep on signing and talking at the same time.
That's such an awesome story. It's wonderful, just to be connected with the community in that regards, the those who have special needs, those who have disabilities. And I feel oftentimes people with disabilities get overlooked, or they're ostracized, or unfortunately made fun of. I have three children, each are autistic, right? Spectrum disorder, right? And it comes with its challenges. And there was concern my wife and I, we had for one of our sons, that we thought he was deaf, right? We weren't too sure. He was unresponsive. He wasn't doing anything. And so we started learning ASL as well. I'm certainly not prevalent in it.
Good for
But
you.
especially at the time when he was like one, and he's a twin, but when he was one, we were watching videos almost on YouTube, and we were just doing everything we could to at least learn the basics of American Sign Language. But he's good though. He's not deaf. So, and not that being deaf is a bad thing, because it's not. But we were like, okay, cool. So he's not. But if he were, we were committed to learning it. So, like, credit to you to doing that, because there is certainly, as you mentioned, where no matter where you go, there's somebody who needs it. At least I also believe, right, that with storytelling, there's also a place for those who aren't necessarily able to, hear the story, even if they're blind. I'm sure there are things that put in place for those with that disability to be able to go into storytelling. So for you and your experience, right, how has American Sign Language and being an educator, and I know you're full of different talents, but specifically with ASL, how has that translated into storytelling?
Wow, that's a really great question, Osiris. Let me first of all commend you. I want to go back just a little bit to highlight what you said. You have three children, and they all are on the spectrum, ASD, autism spectrum disorder.
Hmm.
And your family, you and your wife, decided to start learning sign language and introducing a visual way to communicate. You found a tool, a solution that could bridge the gap between you as a parent and your child, so that you could build connection and communication with your child. First of all, kudos to you for that. Let me
Thank you very
say
much.
why I say that to you. 90% of deaf children are born to hearing families, and more than 70% of those families do not learn sign language. So if you have 1 in 10 persons is born deaf. Okay. You also have one, I believe, in 10 persons born autistic or on the spectrum. And many of them are nonverbal. But many families do not incorporate sign language as a solution. And even in the schools, it's not being offered as a tool to facilitate communication, which we are all visual learners first from birth. We don't come out talking. Well, maybe these
Right.
new AI babies.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
But we don't come out talking. We're all visual learners first. So when you talk about storytelling, the story you just told, I'm taking that story and that's the story I'm going to tell. So your story becomes my story. While I don't have a direct impact in my life in terms of deafness, 1 in every 3 persons over the age of 65 lose their hearing. And so they deal with an aspect of hearing loss. So you have your deaf, you have those that are losing their hearing, and you have those who are not able to speak. And so my vision and my why is crystal clear to me, because I envision a world where every person, regardless of their ability to communicate, that those individuals are heard, they are understood, and they are valued.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driven by that belief, that communication is, I see it as a fundamental human right. And I want to be that spark of that generation of people who are culturally aware, that they're
Yeah.
signers. You don't have to be an interpreter, a professional, interpreter, like myself, but you can learn just some basic signs and phrases to help you in your day-to-day reality with your family. So imagine your children. Imagine you're a senior or aging adult who may be your mom, your uncle, your aunt, or your grandparent, excuse me. And so we want to be able to make sure that we're putting language in these individuals' hands, and we
Right.
want to embrace the diversity that they bring to us as a family member. And at the end of the day, we want to maintain that connection. So what happens when you lose the connection? So many people that are facing communication barriers, whether it's due to hearing loss or other factors, that hinders their ability to effectively communicate with other people. It leads to feelings of isolation. Imagine if you didn't talk to your child.
Right. That'd be terrible.
Imagine you
Hmm.
didn't talk to your mom, who may have lost, may be losing her hearing. She doesn't want to wear that hearing aid because it's not fashionable, or it's too noisy, or it hurts her ears, or it's just a nuisance to her. But yet she's sitting at the dinner table trying to communicate with the family, and the family's getting upset because they're talking to her and she can't hear them, and she keeps asking, "What'd you say? What'd you say?"
Right.
And after a while, the frustration just kind of kicks in, and then consequently and unfortunately, exclusion and various aspects, of decline start to happen. So this
Hmm.
impact, what affects the relationship. The
Right.
family members get frustrated as well because they get tired of yelling and repeating themselves. If you're like,
Hmm.
I do not like to have to keep repeating myself over and over again. So that's what we're looking to do, is being able to bridge that gap. Not only gives you language, but it gives you life.
Okay. Okay. I like that. It gives you language and it gives you life. Now, the other question is, right? Because you're an author as well, and I'm so curious, how do you write a story that translates to those who are deaf? This is me being just me
Right.
being I just because I'm a writer as well, right? And
Okay.
I've
Okay.
actually this is my first time speaking to another writer who writes that translates to those who are deaf. So I mean, they're not blind, but I'm just curious of
They're
what is
blind
that?
in the ear.
Right, right, exactly. And, so I'm just curious, what is that whole thing? Do you include signing within the stories?
Let's talk about it. So, ASL is a visual language. So you can't go to the library and look on the shelf, and pick a book and read sign language. It's not going to happen. So in order to preserve the language or share the language to have the greatest impact is visually. And that was when I did my first production on American Sign Language emergency preparedness. So what did I do? I included an all deaf cast, deaf director, deaf cast, talent. And myself and the writer were the only hearing people on the project.
Hmm.
And so they got to tell their story in their own language to their audience about how to prepare for emergencies and become ready, relative to how to deal with earthquake, fire, tsunami, etc. And so that was my introduction to production on the production side back in 2018, I believe it was, where we produced the first works, and it was the first of its kind. That then led me to producing a talk show where we talk and interview members of the deaf community, and we make it an inclusive environment where both sign language, voice as well, and simultaneous communication, that's signing and talking at the same time, with
Hmm.
captioning to provide access visually.
Yeah.
And so now with the book, after that, the book was inspired after working with a group of senior citizens teaching a ASL music instruction class. And I realized that, 2 weeks prior to the end of this class, and they performed the song with me,
That's awesome.
they're going to forget everything that they learned.
Yeah.
So that's where Senior Sign 2 was birthed. And so everything we do with Sign With Me, we always, because ASL is not my language. It's not my L1. It's not my first language. It's my second language. And so we always make sure that we include the deaf community, because in honor of their language, in honor of their culture, it's their language. So we always partner with the community. That's how we show our collaboration and willingness to be that ally. So what
Yes.
happened was Senior Sign 2 was developed. This is the first book.
There
And
it
we
is.
said, okay, let's start with the alphabet. And it's a 12-book series. And it's really dedicated to helping families, children, teenagers, and adults to learn sign language to communicate with their aging adult. And if we do it as a family, we're building intrinsically that family support. And so we actually partnered with a deaf illustrator in Belgium. And so that's our collaboration piece with him. So you get 26 letters of the alphabet, and while teaching the alphabet, you also get 26 signs. Okay? And we give a nostalgic memory, and including different aspects of the deaf culture, like you might see a hearing aid, or you might see a alert system for the alarm that the deaf use, and that light is a flasher, or you see the ASL alphabet on the clock.
Yeah.
So we make sure that is accessible, and that not only will someone in the family who might be deaf will enjoy seeing the representation of their language, but those who are interested in learning can get started. So this is a 12-book series, and we have the alphabet book out on the market, as well as our second book, which focuses on the family. Who do you love? So in that book, you get to learn all the family signs. And so each book in its sequence will focus on a content area to introduce the language. So when you ask how do you do it visually, and you
That is.
incorporate sign language.
Wow, that I'm blown away by that. Quite literally, actually seeing it well, not in person, but seeing it, like visually seeing it, being presented to me like right before my eyes, and I was just thinking in my head, there are authors who write, for the enjoyment of it,
Mhm.
which is perfectly okay. There are other authors who write because they have a message. There aren't many that I know who do both simultaneously, right? Like the message is to help. You actually, your books are serving a purpose far
Yes.
beyond just storytelling. It's storytelling, and it's creating memories. People will read it, and the stories live forever. But it's also solving problems. It can help. Like if I knew about that book when my kids were younger, I could have used something like that to help me learn at a very basic level of how to interpret ASL, even with something as alphabets. I learned that with ASL, when you're introducing yourself to someone, you're doing it like you're spelling out your name with
Sure.
each letter. And so that's incredible. Please, if for those who are listening to the audio version of this, not seeing the video but only
Sure.
audio, I will be sure to make sure that the links to all of her books, to this 12-part series that she mentioned, um will be included. So when you get to a stopping point, if you're driving, please don't do it while you're driving.
Well, no,
But when
no,
you get
no.
to no, when you get to a stopping point, just go to the description of this video, or this audio recording, and the link to all of her her books and where you can go will be there. And speaking of books, I understand too that you had a book trailer that you wanted to present. So I'll make sure that that book trailer is going to be shown immediately following this interview. So please stay with it. It's gonna end it as well. So it's gonna be a good note to end it on. A wonderful children's it's a children's book, I'm assuming.
It's a everybody book, and so it's a languages for everyone.
There
So
it is.
language starts in the first 4 years of life, right? So it's for the babies all the way to the aging adults. So we are cross generational.
Cross generational. There it is. Okay. So my last question before I have to let you go. Sorry, I forgot. It looks like we're almost at the 25-minute mark. So looks like
Wow,
we've been doing good. Okay, it's been going by quick,
we're
and
having fun.
it's
Time is
been
going by
awesome. Yeah.
quickly.
So how can people reach you? Other than them clicking on the links in the description, how can they come out and reach you?
Absolutely. So, Sign With Me nonprofit is available for access on the internet at www.signwithme.org. We are a nonprofit, and proceeds from your purchases as well as our online stores all go to help with supporting scholarships for our ASL students, both hearing and deaf. You can also reach us on all of the social media platforms from Instagram, signwithme.org. You can also follow me personally at Elaine. We also are on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter, and also TikTok. And so if you're interested in learning sign language and you want to do it in a fun and creative way, we offer ASL tutorials on Instagram Live. We also have American Sign Language classes where you can actually sign up for free. These classes are sponsored by the community as well as other corporate donors to extend it to you as an audience to come and take it for free. It's 8-week classes, and you get to learn at the end of that a song, and you recite it at the end. And we get that video edited and posted all around showing your sign performance of the song. And then if you're a corporation and you're wanting to improve your employee relations, we do also offer American Sign Language training for your staff. If you're working with CNAs or with developmental disabilities, for different audiences, we're here to support you as well with various training and interpreting services.
There it is. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. So that is a perfect way to end the show. So I will say this to you, Dr. Elaine, that I am so grateful that we finally were able to do this. And for your audience, thank you for tuning in to this to give me the opportunity to talk to your own and to welcome her here into my audience. Thank you for you all tuning in and listening to this, and
Thank you.
her wisdom and the nuggets that she provided, and just the care that she provides the those with that disability. And also, being an educator, teachers don't get enough credit. Teachers deserve all the credit in the world, and the amount of just, I won't say stress, but maybe that's what it is, that you all encounter and endure, having this type of weight on your shoulders and responsibility to have parents entrust teachers to
Absolutely.
teach their children, myself included. So my hat's to you, off to you, and to all your contemporaries in that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so,
much.
of course. Thank you, and you all be sure to tune into her lives as well. The songs that she does is fun.
Wednesdays,
Yep,
7
it's a,
o'clock.
exactly. Yep, it's a fun time. So hey, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to tune in to today's episode. It's been a joy, and I'm really grateful. So thank you again for coming on, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to seeing you all real soon. Okay,
Yes, we
thumbs up.
thumbs up. You all take care.